The twice exceptional gifted person is someone who is on both ends of the bell curve I showed you before. They're on the high end with their thinking or their academic abilities. They're on the low end because they have a legitimate learning, processing, emotional, or behavior issue. So not only do you have the asynchronous development I talked about, now superimpose an even more extreme valley because you have something else on top of your strengths. And you're walking around with your highest highs and your lowest lows, and you bring that into a classroom. These are examples. These are ballparks. People who are thought to have Asperger's disorder are 2E. They're very, very bright, and they have fundamental difficulties in understanding emotional and social reciprocity, taking the frame of reference of another, understanding and seeing social cues. A lot of gifted kids get accused of this, which we'll talk about. Some of them actually do have it. Some of them don't. It's just an intense gifted characteristic. But imagine you have all of these high abilities, and then you also have something as fundamental as not being able to relate comfortably to peers, even if you don't, and you don't necessarily have peers at your level that you're around. Creates a huge problem. ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So let's say that you are gifted and you have attention, concentration, task follow-through problems. You're very bright, but you don't turn in your work, you forget your work, you can't remember when assignments are due, you're not able to necessarily plan ahead on a long-term project. So all of a sudden you are now getting poor marks, poor grades, and therefore you're now starting to feel pretty dumb. And now you don't believe you're smart, because if you were smart, you'd be like Johnny over here who turns everything in on time. So these kids are really at risk, 2E kids. 2E is a newer concept that is getting a lot more attention. A lot of kids are 2E. A lot of kids are 2E. You have dyslexia. So you have advanced thinking and cognitive abilities, and yet, so you think a couple years beyond and you read and write a couple years below. So how is it determined who's smart in school? Generally, good readers are smart in school. Dyslexic are awful readers until they get wonderful, appropriate intervention. But they're slow readers. They have trouble decoding. They have trouble with spelling. They generally have sloppy writing. And so now you're having someone with an advanced mind who has trouble getting things out in that way. You have my 3 dyslexic kids who, for accelerated reader, they think at advanced levels, but they get tested in the library on how fast they can answer questions, and then are relegated to that portion of the library which is commensurate with their score, so they have to pick out baby books because they can't read fast. Happens quite a bit. Dyslexia, 1 in 5 people in every classroom is dyslexic. Okay? Happens a lot. So how do we keep these kids intact if you're 2E, you're very bright, and you have trouble reading? Feeling good about themselves, feeling that they're not dumb because everyone reads faster than them. Dysgraphia often comes with dyslexia. You have visual motor difficulties. A lot of boys, a lot of gifted boys hate to write. Think how much kids are asked to write in school to show what they know. Copy this off the board, write a sentence. You can't, more and more people are using PowerPoints, that's wonderful. More and more people are doing multi-modality, different ways of showing what you know, doing a speech, teaching kids. But again, there are so many particularly gifted boys who are asked to write everything and they shut down. And then they keep it all inside, both their work and their feelings.